Welcome to the chemistry class. So today we are continuing the theory session. That is, in our last class we have discussed about the osmotic pressure, osmosis, and then there are types of the solution which are based on the osmotic pressure: isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic. So let us go for the isotonic solution. As you know, isotonic solution, the solution which are having the same osmotic pressure, the solutions which are having the same osmotic pressure, those are called as isotonic solution. See here, whatever the salines we are using in the hospital, those are nothing but the sodium chloride solution. That is salt solution, that is nothing but the saline solution. But there is a definite concentration is maintained. See here, normal saline solution contains 0.9% mass by volume of aqueous solution of the NaCl. It means 0.9% of mass by volume percentage of the sodium chloride aqueous solution is nothing but normal saline solution. The normal saline solution has a concentration that is 0.9%, which is similar to the fluid of the blood cell. Even the blood cell fluid also having the same osmotic pressure, that is same concentration is maintained there also. Okay, so this is the example for the isotonic solution. And if the blood cell which is having the 0.9% concentration similar to the normal saline, okay, if it has the 0.9% concentration and this blood cell is kept in a low concentration, that is hypotonic solution. Lower concentration is outside and inside there is a 0.9% concentration is there. So during that time what happens, as we are placing the blood cell in the lower concentration, it means that is in the hypotonic solution, what happens, osmosis takes place. Osmosis takes place. So what is osmosis? The movement from the lower to the higher. Okay, there is a movement of the particles from low concentration to higher concentration. See here, like this, the solvent will going to be get inside the blood cell. What happens? Blood cell will going to be swell. It will going to be swell and it will going to be burst. So when we are keeping the blood cell in the hypotonic solution, suppose the blood cell is kept in the hypertonic, it means here the higher concentration of the solution is maintained than that of the 0.9. It is more than the 0.9%. So during that time what happens, there is also osmosis takes place and here the solvent starts to moving from lower to higher like this. So during this time the blood cell will going to be shrink. Its size will be reduced because outside higher is there, inside lower is there. There is a movement of the molecules from lower concentration to the higher concentration takes place. Because of this reason the blood cell will going to be shrink, and it is the example for the hypertonic. So here if the solution is entering from lower to higher, that is inside the blood cell, when we kept in the hypotonic solution, during that time the blood cell will going to be swell. It will going to be burst. So these are the example for the isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic solution. So keep in mind, one more questions are asked on the basis of this only. So whether the blood cell will going to be shrink or it will going to be swell depends upon the concentration. Okay, if you are keeping in the hypertonic means there is a shrinkage. If you are going to keep in the hypotonic means there is a swelling will going to be occurs. In both the cases osmosis takes place. And when we are taking the normal saline, that is the osmotic, that is the isotonic solution, because it has the same concentration like the fluid which is having the blood cell, the fluid which is present inside the blood cell having the same concentration of that of the normal saline solution. So, whenever the doctors are injecting the injection to the saline, the blood cell will not going to be swell or it will not going to shrink, because both are having the same concentration. So, this is how we can explain the osmosis, osmotic pressure and the types of the solution based on the osmotic pressure and those example. So, especially you have to be think about shrinkage and swelling of the blood cell when they are kept in the hypertonic and hypotonic solutions. One more question will be asked on these concepts. So, let us go for the one more bit of the topic, that is abnormal molar mass. So, here what is the meaning of the abnormal molar mass? Here the molar mass is either higher or lower than that of the normal molar mass. The molar mass is higher or lower than that of normal molar mass. Are you getting? Abnormal, normal is common only, abnormal means either it is higher or lower than that of the normal molar mass. Then there is a one question, why there is a variation of the molar mass, why it will be either it will going to be high or it will going to be less, why, what is the reason? See here, until now whatever the colligative properties which we discussed, once again I will tell you, colligative properties particularly depends upon the number of the solute particles. Okay. So, whatever the colligative properties we discussed, that is relative lowering of the vapor pressure and then depression in freezing point, elevation in boiling point, all in those concepts we are calculating the M2 or we are finding the formula for M2. There is normal molar mass is observed, that is not abnormal. Then when the abnormal occurs, see here, during that time whatever the derivation we solved, those are for the dilute solution and there we are using the non-electrolyte solute. Okay. Suppose instead of taking non-electrolyte solute, if I am using, that is solute is electrolyte, if I am using the solute as a electrolyte, whenever the solute is electrolyte, either it will go association or it will going to be dissociation process. Okay. So, because of this association and dissociation, the normal molar mass will going to be vary and it converts to the abnormal molar mass. I hope you are getting what I am saying. Commonly in our three derivations like colligative property derivation, relative lowering of the vapor pressure, depression in freezing point and elevation in boiling point, that is the normal value we are going to get. But in that case we are using the solute as a non-electrolyte. So, the M2 will be similar. Suppose if I am using the solute as a electrolyte, so if it is a electrolyte, the molar mass will definitely varies. Why it will varies? Because our electrolyte undergoes association or dissociation process. Okay. Because of that the normal molar mass gets converted into abnormal molar mass. And then this association or dissociation, how much, the extent of association or dissociation is known by the one of the factor which is called as Van 't Hoff factor. The Van 't Hoff factor is indicated by letter I. Van 't Hoff factor is indicated by the letter I. So, here Van 't Hoff factor accounts for the extent of association or dissociation. I am repeatedly telling that when the solute is electrolyte, there is a association or dissociation takes place, and because of this process there is a abnormal molar mass will going to be occur. then whatever the association or dissociation occurs, that extent is indicated by a factor. That factor is called as Van't Hoff factor. Van't Hoff factor accounts for the extent of association or dissociation. Okay. And then definition for the Van't Hoff factor can be given in few more formula. It is always the ratio. Van't Hoff factor is the ratio. It is the ratio of the normal molar mass and observed molar mass. I is equal to normal molar mass divided by observed molar mass, or else I is equal to observed colligative property divided by calculated colligative property. Okay, or else even you can use one more formula. I is equal to number of moles after association or dissociation divided by number of moles before association or after before association or dissociation. Okay. So, Van't Hoff factor accounts for the extent of association or dissociation, and Van't Hoff factor is a ratio. Either you can write anything. It is the ratio of the normal molar mass to the observed molar mass, or observed colligative property to the calculated colligative property, or else number of moles after association or dissociation, and divided by number of moles before association or dissociation. Let us go for the one more. Always the Van't Hoff factor I for the association is less than unity. Always the Van't Hoff factor for association is less than unity, and for dissociation I is greater than unity. I is greater than unity, keep in mind. So, there will be one more question specially covered on this part, and they are going to ask you what is the value of the I for the association, or what is the value of the I for the dissociation. So, during that time you need to write. Okay. So, let us go for the one of the example how the I can be calculated. How the I can be calculated. Let us take NaCl as an example. NaCl as an example. NaCl will going to dissociate into Na plus and Cl minus. Na plus and Cl minus ions. I need to calculate Van't Hoff factor. Which process it is? Dissociation. So, I is equals to number of moles after, take this formula, number of moles after association or dissociation. How many number of moles are formed after dissociation? 2, divided by number of moles before dissociation. How many number of moles are here? Only 1. So, 2 divided by 1 is 2. I is greater than 1. I is greater than 1 for the dissociation. Clear? Similarly, if it is for KCl, K plus Cl minus, and then I is equals to how many number of molecules after dissociation? 2, and before it is 1. Answer will be 2. Answer will be 2. Sometimes even they will ask you find out the value of I for the KCl. What is the value of the I for the NaCl? Like this they will going to ask you. Okay. I hope you are getting what I am telling you. See here, few more examples I will tell you. And here Van't Hoff factor I can be calculated on the basis of these formulas, and this formula we are using for the examples which we are taking here. And then for association, value of the Van't Hoff factor is less than unity. For dissociation, it is greater than unity. Let us take one example to cross check this. NaCl dissociate, that is one molecule of the NaCl dissociate into two molecules, that is two ions. Here number of the moles, that is after dissociation is 2, divided by before is 1, 2 divided by 1 is 2. Similarly for KCl, 2 divided by 1 is 2, which is greater than 1, that is the dissociation. Okay. Few more examples we are going to continue. So, let us go for the few more example as I said you. So, here MgSO4, it will going to dissociate into Mg plus 2 plus SO4 minus 2. Okay. So, I need to calculate the value of I, that is the Van't Hoff factor. The number of the moles after dissociation, how many? 2 are there, and then before how many are there? Only 1 is there. 2 divided by 1, that is 2 will be the Van't Hoff factor. For a dissociation, always I is greater than 1 for the dissociation. Okay. Let us go for the one more example. K2SO4, how it will going to dissociate? 2K plus SO4 minus 2. Keep in mind that how it will going to dissociate 2K plus SO4 minus 2. Now, I need to calculate I. I is equals to how many number of the moles after dissociation? 2 plus 1, that is 3 divided by, before means only 1 is there, 3. So, all these are the example for the dissociation. Always dissociation I is greater than unity. Here they are going to ask you find out the value, what is the value of the I for the K2SO4. Many times in your annual examination K2SO4 is asked, that is I is equals to 3. Okay. Similarly, if we go for the example for the association, okay, suppose 2 molecules of acetic acid or ethanoic acid. So, it will going to associate, how it will associate? See here, this is the one molecules of the acetic acid, CH3COOH, COOH, CH3COOH. So, what happens? It will going to form a dimer, or there is a formation of the hydrogen bond between this oxygen and this hydrogen and here. So, there is a formation of the dimer, It means that 2 moles become 1, that is 2 molecule become 1 in case of the, here those are associated, 2 are associated to give the 1. So, here if I calculate the value of I, if I calculated the number of the moles after association, how many? 1 divided by number of moles before association, that is 2. 1 by 2 is the value of the Van't Hoff factor for the acetic acid. So, I is here lesser than 1, I is lesser than 1. So, this is how we can able to give the example for the association and dissociation. Always these two are I, Van't Hoff factor is very important, and if they will ask you definition of the Van't Hoff factor and Van't Hoff factor accounts for what, and what is the value of the Van't Hoff factor for the association, what is the value of the Van't Hoff factor for the dissociation, or else calculate the Van't Hoff factor for the K2SO4, or else calculate the Van't Hoff factor for the acetic acid. Like this, the questions will be covered on this concept which is carrying the 1 mark. Okay. So, this is very important bit of the topic, that is Van't Hoff factor and calculating the Van't Hoff factor value for the different example which undergoes dissociation and association. Clear? So, okay. As we know that Van't Hoff factor accounts for the extent of association or dissociation. So, in the previous whatever the colligative property we discussed, there we are considering the solute as a that is non-electrolyte, but here we are considering the electrolyte solution and it accounts for the I term, it accounts for the Van't Hoff factor I term. So, that is introduced in our colligative property. So, let us go for the first colligative property as we discussed in detail, that is derivation in our previous videos. The relative lowering of the vapor pressure formula is P1 naught minus P1 divided by P1 naught is equals to, only the formula is N2 divided by N1, but we are introducing the term Van't Hoff factor I, just multiply the Van't Hoff factor, and that again if you are simplifying you are going to get N2 and N1 value, you have to substitute, and I into W2 into m1 divided by m2 into w1 will be the value. Suppose if I go for the second colligative property, that is elevation in boiling point, delta Tb is equals to I. Here we are only, previously it is delta Tb is equals to Kb into m, but now we are introducing the Van 't Hoff factor I, just multiply it by the I. Similarly, depression in freezing point formula is delta Tf into is equals to Kf into m, okay, and then that is again multiplied by the Van 't Hoff factor I. And finally, last one colligative property, that is osmotic pressure, which is indicated by pi. We know that pi is equals to CRT. Again, C is nothing but N2 divided by V, that is molarity. So, that is also multiplied by the Van 't Hoff factor I. So, I into CRT, that C can be replaced by N2 by V. So, pi is equals to I into N2 into RT divided by V. So, this is how we can explain the Van 't Hoff factor and how the Van 't Hoff factor is introduced in the colligative properties. So, repeatedly I am telling you, the last bit is very important for the 1 mark questions. For this, your theory section, that is theory session on the solution chapter is completely finished, and applications of the colligative properties, if we came across, that is we are going to find out M2 in all those, that is molar mass of the solute can be find out, and in car radiators. And one more thing, in order to salty places in the what we can say ice, where the ice is covered, we are going to add the salt to freeze it. So, the depression in the freezing point, that is the application which is used there. So, all these are the applications of our colligative property. So, finally, the chapter solutions is concluded. Okay. In our next video, we are going to start with a new lesson. Thank you.